The Weed Porn Daily podcast is brought to you by the Weed Porn Daily Head Shop. Head over to weedporndaily.com/shop today and get some weed socks, hemp wicks, glass screens, rolling papers. If any of that sounded interesting to you, some stickers, maybe slaps, head over to weedporndaily.com/shop today and check out what's some stuff. Use the coupon code POTCAST, POTCAST. Be the second person to use it. That's right. Somebody finally fucking used their 10% off coupon code. And, no, that was pretty nice, bro. I appreciate it. Shout out to you, homie, the one guy. Also, a fan of our YouTube channel as well. It was very nice. I guess they saw the podcast on YouTube or something like that. But, cheers to you, homie. I appreciate that. If you guys are willing to, or not willing, but wanting of some weed socks, head over to our website. We've got a larger selection than normal. We've got some heather gray and light blue socks. We've got black and pink, black and green, white and green. We've got a huge variety of colors. Check it out, weedporndaily.com/shop. Pick yourself or your girlfriend or your significant other or just your niece. I don't even know, bro. Weed socks are like the thing right now. Everybody has a pair or 5 or 6. You know, you just can't get enough. You just can't get enough. You just can't get enough. I just can't get enough. I just can't get enough. Where was I? weedporndaily.com/shop. Weed socks, hemp wicks. We've got some new slaps in stock. I forgot to mention, Stone Goofy slaps are officially in stock. All the pre-orders are out, as well as many new orders. Make sure to grab your sticker before they sell out. We've had a lot of people contact me in regards of old limited edition Stone Disney prints, and those are gone, bro. That's why they're called limited edition. You gotta snag them while you can. So pick up some Stone Goofy stickers while you can, and hopefully the next set will be coming out soon. I think it'll be the Little Mermaid or maybe Roxanne. Maybe. We'll see. Or maybe even Mickey and Minnie. I have a really good design that I've been waiting to put out for that. But, yeah, check it out. weedporndaily.com/shop. We also have some new slaps in stock. I gotta put them up on the website for sale, but these slaps are actually replacing our business cards that we offer with our orders. Usually when we send out an order, we'll send you the products as well as a special little printout thingy with like a QR code that takes you to the website, as well as a coupon code for returning customers. And we're going to be offering you guys some stickers now instead of like a business card, which, you know, just said Weed Porn Daily and our social shit on it. Now you're going to get a slap with some frosty-ass macro trichome nugs on it. It was macro as I can get, really. And the Weed Porn Daily logo and logo type. So that looks fresh as fuck. Honestly, it looks like you could touch it and almost like get your fingers crusty from how fucking frosty it is. It's pretty intense. Put it in the sunlight and it pops just like some nugs. So everybody's going to be getting one of those for free with every single order, and Don't be putting them up in the site if you guys, of course, want to buy extra to spread around town, give to friends. Slap on your butt. I don't know what people do with slaps. But check it out, weedporndaily.com, coupon code podcast, and thank you guys for supporting the site. Really, always appreciate it. Also, check out if you're interested in some advertising, because I know we're reaching out with the tendrils and we're touching somebody, because ad people come out of the woodwork. It's pretty crazy. But if you're interested in some website ad banners, maybe a sponsored post on the Tumblr, Twitter, Facebook, all that jazz, an archived ad form, if you will, or if you're looking for maybe a review of your product and we do like a YouTube video, take some pictures of it and do a giveaway, or, you know, we have very flexible advertising options. We are, at heart, a promotional company for creative cannabis people in the community. So, check it out, weedporndaily.com/advertise to see all of our advertising plans and get in contact with us about that. So I've got a bowl here packed of some shit that I don't know what the name is, but it tastes like candy. It tastes slightly like candy, more like woods and like almost like a garbage bag, honestly. But the taste, or rather the smell, the smell is straight up like sweet tarts when you break up the nugs. It's just very, very almost artificial sweetness with how candy-like it smells. This is one of those times when, before, if you would have told me, before I started smoking weed, that weed tasted like particular things naturally, I wouldn't believe you. I would assume that some grower had taken like sweet tart extract and put it into the water of the plant or something, or sprinkled it on the nugs for it to taste like this. Like, it just seems so fake. Like when you get a weed that tastes like bleach, or tastes like ammonia, or tastes like soap. I don't know if you guys have ever had that, but it just almost seems fake or wrong. But it's crazy how that's how nature works. Like those are just common terpenoids, flavonoids, smell compounds that are shared interchangeably between plants and matter in this world. It's pretty cool. So I've got a bowl packed of that candy shit inside of the freshly cleaned Illadelph. I wish this was a video podcast so you guys could experience just how see-through this shit is right now. This is the cleanest the Illadelph has been in weeks. I actually cleaned out the bowl. Like normally I clean the bong and it stays like residually a little dirty. Or even with alcohol, I'll get everything spotless and the bowl will stay like slightly black with chunks of resin in it. So I took some fucking Zen pipe cleaners, stabbed that shit with some alcohol and salt and force, and everything is spotless and good, and I'm gonna choke on this hit, so please excuse me. But I hope you have your bowls packed. I hope you have your hemp wicks prepared and getting properly lit. Or if not, maybe you're using a soldering iron. Maybe even you're using an e-nail, d-nail, electronic nail situation. I hope you have that preset to the proper temperature. I hope you have your glass cleaned for a proper toke, or maybe even seasoned so that you don't necessarily get like a too gnarly of a toke. And I hope you have your bowls packed to the fullest degree. You aren't necessarily scrimping. You aren't necessarily scraping resin into it. You can maybe even stack keef on it or some hash, because that's how the world should be. Cheers. Woo. So clean. So tasty. Oh, not as rough as I expected at all. That was beautiful. Woo. And with that said, welcome to the WeedPornDaily podcast, fellow super stoners. Whoa. I am your host with the most, who can ghost. I am Grouch, the editor, owner, the designer, programmer. Basically, I do everything on WeedPornDaily. I'm gonna put my foot down and say it. I do everything. No, I don't know. I basically do everything. Miss WeedPornDaily does help in a lot of ways, producing and almost investing. But yeah, you can check all of our information out. Miss WeedPornDaily isn't here, but you can learn about me and her on weedporndaily.com/about, or you can just go to weedporndaily.com. You can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr. Basically, everything is WeedPornDaily except for Instagram, where it's the real WPD. So I hope you guys are ready for a content-filled podcast today. It's been a little while since we've recorded. We actually were running off of a few banked podcasts for a little bit, so the gap between recording is actually longer than the, yeah, whatever. It's getting confusing. But I've been taking lots of notes. I've been watching a lot of discussions and chats and different podcasts and things like that, and really just trying to spur some conversations and spur some discussion over some recent issues that have been circulating or popping up. And of course, we have the news to get to as well. Actually, I didn't prepare that, so we're just gonna freeball that shit today. It's cool. If you'd like to follow along with the news, head over to WeedPornDaily.com and hit the news button up top, or you can go to news.weedporndaily.com, or you can check the news tag, or you can also check the crime, activism, or your state tag. You know, like fucking California, Colorado, etc. So the first article of discussion here, medical marijuana dispensaries in Washington fight millions in unpaid sales tax. This comes to us from King 5. ChemDog has a suggested price at Delta 9 Collective Garden in Seattle, but it's not technically for sale. I have never sold marijuana in my life, explained founder Stephanie Viskovich. At Viskovich's shop, medical marijuana patients donate money to support growers who donate their plants. However, the Department of Revenue considers those donations a business transaction and recently sent Viskovich a notice. For over $1 million in back taxes, she said. Viskovich's dispensary is one of an estimated 117 in the state with delinquent sales tax payments. That's about a quarter of the state's 443 registered dispensaries, adding up to $9.5 million. The DOR admits, however, that their calculations of who owes what are rough estimates. You know, that is what I hate about tax people. Like, I submit my taxes, and I don't have to, like, or everybody submits their taxes. And you don't necessarily submit, like, every single receipt, every single thing that you bought, every single money that you've gotten. You know, at a certain point, you write down a number, and there are, like, certain numbers in the database that they look up, and they run it next to that, and that's what they go off of. You know, and it's kind of just them guessing, to some extent, off of what you're offering. Because they don't have all the evidence. And it's, I'm sure, the same thing here. You know, they haven't looked at every single marijuana sale. They haven't looked at their books. They're literally just like saying, how much profit did you make this year? What? Or something? Or how much is in your bank account right now? We're gonna charge you this much. Or something. I don't even know. I'm sure there is like not a very good rhyme or reason to this money. But this situation is something that we've seen very commonly in a lot of medical marijuana states. California particularly, they run off of that whole, donation system where we're not really selling, we're getting donations. That kind of gray area, this has been a problem that we've seen before. It's interesting now that with the recreational system in place, the Department of Revenue is really just trying to milk the medical marijuana dispensaries now for a little more money. They recently had to actually regulate them and register them because the medical marijuana situation in Washington was atrocious. When medical marijuana came out in Washington first, there were no dispensaries, there were only growers and caregivers and shit, and people actually had to pull together collectives and dispensaries and stuff themselves, and those were quasi-illegal because they weren't necessarily in the state, law for medical marijuana. It didn't outline there will be, allowed sales at, businesses, and we'll give out licenses for that, whatever, how they do in Colorado and how they do in a lot of other states with medical marijuana. But Washington didn't have that. So Washington just had a fucking, the Wild West of weed over there with medical marijuana. There were just businesses popping up everywhere. There were over 1,000. I remember reporting on. It was pretty intense, and it's dropped down significantly since then. So now I guess they're really just trying to shake them down and get all these people who are quote unquote running for donations out and just say, hey man, we understand that you're a business, charge them for sales and just give us the money. Like you're going to have to pay taxes. We understand that this is a medicine and that you should be getting insurance on this and you shouldn't even be paying this much for this, but for some reason we're going to be charging you even more money for it and taxing you on your medicine. Because we know you don't deserve to get cancer, but we're going to charge you heavy for that treatment. Yeah, fucking. So Washington's trying to really fix itself up. I've been seeing a lot of articles popping up for Washington where people are proposing to merge the medical and recreational systems in order to create a better regulated market, so you don't have this discrepancy between these medical dispensaries who are maybe donation-based, maybe this, maybe that, maybe not licensed, and just have everybody under the same umbrella, everybody get licenses, everybody just follow those same taxes, those same crazy legal taxes, I'm sure. So moving along, let's see, federal ad policy impedes. I guess that we can talk about that. Fucking Canada. We don't talk about Canada enough over here. Federal ad policy impedes doctors, medical marijuana growers say. This comes to us from the Globe and Mail, from Canada, eh? You know the old Globe and Mail. It's right there next to the fucking, what's the other one in Canada? The old Horton? I don't know. Licensed medical marijuana producers say federal advertising rules pertaining to the drug are impeding their ability to adequately inform doctors and patients of treatment options. In November, Health Canada issued warning letters to 20 licensed producers about their advertising practices, telling them they had until January 12, 2015 to come in compliance with prohibitions against the advertising of cannabis laid out in the Marijuana for Medical Purposes Regulations, the Food and Drugs Act, and the Narcotic Control Regulations. This means that generally, producers' websites can only list brand names, strain names, price, cannabinoid content, and contact information. They can't tout each strain's reported benefits or photos of the drugs. All companies came into compliance by Monday, the deadline day. So it's pretty fucked up. You have these companies basically based in a medical marijuana business. This is medical marijuana. We have legalized the medicinal use of marijuana. But for some reason, due to some, I guess multiple regulations, because they listed a couple different laws there, or like bills or whatever. That's pretty intense. Let me see. They can tout. Yeah, like you can't say that this strain is good for cancer. Or this strain helps with seizures. Like you have all your people reporting to you that you give this drug to, and maybe even your own personal trials that you've held. Maybe not necessarily like completely scientific trials, but you've held trials for it. You've tested this product and you found that it helps with seizures. You can't list that because, I'm sure it's not, because it's technically a drug that's not completely legal, or they haven't gotten all the fucking studies for it. It's crazy. And even the photos of the drugs, like I can't even see the picture of the nug, bro. Like, show me the nug structure. Show me how frosty this shit is. Because I'm paying so much fucking money and it's getting delivered to me. Like, I can't even fucking go down to the dispensary and get my eye on it and look at it and get a good look at it. I have to fucking trust that you're going to send me, like, the right strain and, grown right and, at the right, it's ridiculous. Maybe it's a little leafy. What the fuck? I want you to trim that shit better. You're just giving me leaf for my weight instead of actual, flour nug matter frostiness. So it's a little limiting here, and it'll be interesting to see how the Canadians respond to this if the policies get changed at all. Because we have it here where our medical marijuana dispensaries rely on websites like fucking Leafly, Strain Brain. We're going to talk about another one I found, Canna SOS. But all these different websites that basically are strain databases, like ours is going to be, that list all the different strains, list what they're made of, list the THC content, which I guess they're allowed to. But we'll also put pictures of it. I'll even fucking put pictures that people submit, like fucking like it's a little interesting. Like I can imagine that going down in the U.S. That kind of limiting of freedom. I guess it's because this is such a controlled, fucking little private little business that's going on in Canada. But don't get me started on that. But good news. Good news on the horizon. I see the sun coming up over those fucking Tijuana hills, and you know what I see? Instead of cannabis, instead of mota growing, and cartels like posted up with AKs. I still see the cartels posted up with the AKs, but instead of these 7-leaf green wonders, I see these purple, pinkish, like flowers, these buds sticking up. Could that be? Yes, it looks like poppy. And I guess whatever meth comes from. I don't know where meth comes from. But losing marijuana business. Mexican cartels push heroin and meth. This comes to us via the Washington Post in California. Mexican traffickers are sending a flood of cheap heroin and methamphetamine across the U.S. border. The latest drug seizure statistics show, in a new sign that America's new decriminalization trend is upending the North American narcotics trade. The amount of cannabis seized by the U.S. federal, state, and local officers along the boundary with Mexico has fallen 37% since 2011, a period during which American marijuana consumers have increasingly turned to more potent, higher-grade domestic varieties. That's right, that Cali bud, yo. Cultivated under legal and quasi-legal protections in more than 24 U.S. states. Come on now. Well, I guess this is true. They're talking about the spread of it, and not just it just coming over the border, but where it ends up. And it's true, it ends up in like fucking Kentucky and shit. But then again, people from Cali and Colorado and Washington are also shipping bud over to Kentucky too. So that's what's up. Or driving it over, maybe, if they're ballsy enough or something. Made in the USA marijuana is quickly displacing the cheap, seedy, hard-packed version. The we used to call it mids. We used to call it, let's go get a dime bag of Reggie's. Let's go get it'd be a nickel bag. Because we would get a dime because we would need to get 2 nickel bags to even feel anything. Hard-packed version of the marijuana harvested by the bushel in Mexico's Sierra Madre mountains. How specific. That has prompted Mexican drug farmers to plant more opium poppies, and the sticky brown and black tar heroin they produce is channeled by traffickers into the U.S. communities hit hardest by prescription painkiller abuse, offering addicts a $10 alternative to an $80 a pill, oxycodone. So now that we're finally cutting cannabis out of the drug market trade, cannabis is becoming another commodity just like caffeine, possibly, but more so like alcohol and cigarettes. Just a very regulated commodity that we know is like a recreational drug, but we allow it societally because it's just cool or whatever. Like, I don't even know what the excuse is for alcohol anymore. But now that marijuana is becoming like that, we have the true problem, the true evil that has been lying here in wait for decades in the U.S. and all across the world, really, prescription drugs. And it's something that, Florida dealt with the fucking pill mills. We'll talk about that later, I think. Yeah. And it's something that I'm sure a lot of other states have dealt with as well. Just people pumping oxys, pumping roxys, pumping all kinds of, horse tranquilizers and shit, ketamines, fucking whatever they can get their hands on from their doctor, or fucking antidepressants as well. We're talking about bars. We're talking about what's the name, Xanax and shit. Like, all of that stuff is being pumped into the, like, fucking minds and the bodies of the fellow people that we live with, the people who are suffering and go to the medical professionals for help. And rather than offering them a true channel and a holistic view of the situation, taking a step back and realizing, hey, maybe you should change your diet. Maybe you should start exercising. Do you get enough sunlight? Maybe that's why you're depressed. Do you have a good social situation and a good network in which they empower you and make you feel, good about yourself and make you feel like you need to strive for more and a lot of other good qualities? Like, are you surrounding yourself with good friends? Are you reinforcing yourself positively within your own mental state? Are you living presently instead of living in the future and the past, living with regret or living with some sort of anxiety? Like, why not take a look at that situation rather than saying, okay, you feel anxiety? We have a pill for that, and they just give you a pill. And that pill also has a certain number of side effects, which also fuck up your life and either make you take more pills to offset the side effects or start like a regimen, or even some pills will fuck you up permanently, and if you stop taking them, they'll give you seizures and shit. It's fucking nuts. So rather than take, the holistic approach and say, hey, don't take those pills that may ruin your life and may lead you to take harder drugs because you can't necessarily afford these incredibly expensive prescription pills once they're not covered by insurance. You get a certain number for free. That's how any drug dealer works. You get a certain number for free of those oxys, and then you have to start paying for them out of the ass because the doctor's not going to give it to you. You got to get it hooked up from your friend down the street who has extra oxys that he's willing to sell for $80 a fucking pill. So it's so lucrative, the prescription drug market, and what these fucking big pharma is really doing to milk the people of their money. I mean, we've joked about it endlessly over the years with all the commercials that we see for prescription drugs where they tout all these side effects very quickly and rapidly as if we're supposed to dismiss them. Anal bleeding, like nightmares, like sleepwalking, fucking suicidal tendencies, death. Like, we're just supposed to gloss over these side effects and take these drugs and, say that we're supposed to be happy or healthy when we truly know that the source of the problem is still not being taken care of, and that we're just numbing ourselves or distancing ourselves or just really burying ourselves in the problem more. So moving along from, I guess, not so good news, some depressing shit. Chile, some good news. Chile authorizes the second cultivation of pot for medicinal purposes. This comes to us from Santiago via the LAHT. The Chilean authorities have authorized the company Agrofuturo to carry out a project of cultivation and harvest of cannabis sativa for medical purposes, the second such initiative in Chile. A statement from the Agricultural and Livestock Service said on Wednesday that the marijuana planting is being done under strict compliance with legal and regulatory provisions. The agency explained that Agrofuturo will begin industrial production of medical cannabis and research applied to the production process for national and international markets, but the reproduction of plants or multiplication of seeds of the species will not be allowed. So they are just purely producing cannabis. Like, they are not giving you cut to the plant. They're not producing. They're not going to be a seed bank or seed company, whatever. These people are just growing weed. That's very interesting. I wonder why. That's so specific. I mean, it's good to focus your resources like that, because if you were growing for seed or cloning or anything like that, it would require a shifting of the infrastructure. You need different grow rooms. You can't necessarily be pollinating plants inside of a grow room where you want to harvest nugs for smoking. You're going to get smaller yields from those hermaphroditic or impregnated plants, really. So I don't know. I wonder what the deal is, but cool. news that Chile is being so cool about this whole medical cannabis situation. You know, we saw Uruguay being this big fucking shining light on the South American sunset or whatever, where we all wanted to run over there and just start growing legal weed. And, you know, it seemed like this paradiso, that pot, and all of a sudden, you know, it's becoming very difficult to become involved with that process. You know, I was listening to a podcast recently from the Emerald Cup. If you guys check out the Emerald Cup YouTube channel, it's actually a fucking incredible resource for some high-level cannabis discussions and information. But one of the videos they had, I think the dude from DNA Genetics, or I don't think it was him, it was another dude. But a seed grower basically was discussing how, you know, he wanted to go over to Uruguay and start, you know, helping them with the growing process and getting involved with that. And he had to actually pull out the associate that he had in Uruguay because they just weren't being fruitful with the whole process. You know, things were taking too long and, you know, they weren't getting involved enough. But apparently Chile, they have fucking people in Chile rocking it and they're ready to start growing in Chile soon. And Jamaica as well. Like, Chile and Jamaica are going to be the two new fucking outlets for medical cannabis and cannabis research and international cannabis production. They're probably going to be the first places that are going to start shipping cannabis over their borders legally. The country's going to say, hey, we allow, you know, people to grow cannabis here, not only do that, but also give it to other countries. Like, that's fucking nuts. The U.S. isn't far from that right now. Moving along. Moving along here. We've got some good news from Florida. A lot of the Floridians were tense and probably fucking pissed. Just fucking rash, upset, like exasperated. Like, fuck Florida. I can't imagine the cries that came out post-election day after the Amendment 2 medical marijuana initiative failed in Florida. But we're getting another chance, Florida. Make sure to go to the unitedforcare.org website and sign the new petition to get medical marijuana on the ballot in 2016. So if you're a Floridian, and even if you signed the ballot and the petition and voted and everything last time, you're going to have to sign everything again and vote again this year. So head over to unitedforcare.org / I think petition. Yeah. And fill out the petition, mail it to Puff'em, the organization trying to get cannabis on the ballot, and get cannabis legalized in Florida medicinally. You guys were so fucking close. You were 2.5% off. Just 3 fucking percent. That's all you need this time. That's all you need to pull together. So, fucking get out there, fill out some more petitions, get even more people to vote this time. Let them know that it is a possibility. If it seemed impossible last time, like, now you have the proof that you were just that close. And you just need to get a couple more friends. Like, how many more people turned 18? We need to get those people voting now, you know? So make sure that you're a registered voter in the state of Florida. There's a link on the website that if you're not a registered voter yet, you can register on the state of Florida website. And, yeah, that's it. Just fill out the petition. Get it started. I posted the petition on Reddit, and I was getting, like, fucking some retarded fucking responses, man. But I don't know. That's what you get when you tap into, like, the internet. But, you know, I was getting people like, you know, fuck, you know, don't sign this petition. You know, we should be trying to legalize it fully. And I'm like, are you retarded? Like, we barely legalized medical last time, and you want to shoot for full legalization? Like, what are you fucking smoking, dude? Like, I understand it's been 2 years, but at the same time, like, we're still the fucking place that's in the South, tucked in under the Bible Belt, that suffered from fucking pill mills and re-elected fucking Rick Scott, and we are fucking retarded down here. So that full legalization is far over the horizon. We fucking legalize like CBD shit. We need to take baby steps, and medical marijuana is actually not even a baby step. The medical marijuana that's getting passed in Florida is one of the most open medical marijuana policies out there, simply because it doesn't have a restrictive symptom list. Most states like Colorado and Rhode Island, Michigan, and places like that, Arizona particularly, they all have a set list of conditions that you have to meet, and it's listed from like fucking AIDS, cancer, seizures, and things like that, like major shit. And if maybe you have chronic pain, that you just have this incredible pain from shifted discs in your back, or you fucked up your waist, or you have a bone that you broke and it never healed right, or your knee's fucked up, or you're a physical worker and you physically labor yourself constantly and it puts a toll on your body, or maybe you were just born fucked up somehow and you like me, you have like an eating disorder and you aren't necessarily on that list. Like they don't have anorexia on the list, which I would fucking apply for, or GERD or IBS, or none of those conditions are listed on the list. It's way more life-threatening conditions. But there are a lot of other conditions that aren't necessarily life-threatening, like I'm not going to die in a few months, but at the same time, I am going to suffer incredibly, and my life is going to deteriorate incredibly if I don't have access to cannabis. If I can't eat, how am I supposed to live my life? Or if I can't, smoke and get my back not hurting at night, how am I supposed to sleep and wake up for the next hard day of work? So what happens in Florida is they have a caveat in the medical marijuana policy where they offer medical cannabis for people with quote-unquote debilitating conditions. So that's up for your doctor to decide whether or not, your condition, whatever it may be, whether it be chronic pain, whether it be some disorder, or like fucking whatever it is, disease, even if it isn't on the list, like printed in black and white, you can still get medical cannabis if you truly need it. So I appreciate that about Florida. It's basically going to be like California, where you can walk into the doctor and say, hey man, I can't sleep at night, my back hurts, blah blah blah, I can't eat, and they'll give you medical cannabis. Some people would argue that that creates too much access and that just creates a revolving door of cannabis, but at the same time, people are revolving through the door of legal cannabis. Legal medical cannabis is going to be funding taxes into the system rather than the illegal revolving door that's currently happening right now, where the black market is funneling all those profits to themselves and buying fucking fancy cars and fucking guns and shit. Like, I would rather people walk into the doctor and say, my back hurts, I need weed, and then have to go to the dispensary or maybe grow their own and just be licensed under the system and pay taxes and things like that, than someone who just wants to fucking grow 90 plants and do it in the underground or in the fucking Everglades or some shit. I'd rather people participate in a legal system, whatever it may be. And maybe if it is such a revolving door, maybe we can have recreational cannabis. I'm just saying, bro, what's up? I had people telling me, like, no, bro, if you legalize medical, you're not gonna have recreational. And I was like, bro, again, what are you on? Did you not see Colorado shift from a medical policy to a recreational policy and still have both working concurrently? Or even Washington with its fucked up medical system, they were still able to legalize recreational cannabis. That was one of the things that fueled the recreational cannabis. The people were like, man, this medical system's so fucked up, we should just legalize it. Like, don't tell me that, this is a step backwards. Like, I don't know what kind of backwards thinking that is. Yeah, so, speaking of, fucking Uruguay, via Cannabis Now, Uruguay receives 1,000+ applications from growers. Uruguay made history by becoming the first country to legalize cannabis, rather, when President Jose Mujica signed the bill into law on Christmas Eve of 2013. Although the program has been very slow at getting on its feet, things are starting to creep along. Since opening submissions, botanists and cultivators a few months ago, the Institute for Control and Regulation of Cannabis, IRCCA, has received 1,200 applications from residents interested in growing cannabis. Last year, the IRCCA began accepting applications for cannabis clubs. To date, about 500 clubs have been registered with the department, with each club allowed to have 45 members and cultivate up to 99 plants. One small problem, though, no pharmacies have been licensed to sell marijuana yet. As mentioned, the process is slowly but surely creeping along. But very cool. Like I mentioned before, Uruguay is still going very slow, and places like Jamaica, Chile are they seem to be making bigger strides, faster strides, but Uruguay is still making some moves. And particularly, they mentioned on the same podcast before, the Emerald Cup one, how Spain is a place where even the Amsterdam people are flooding to. Amsterdam has been a place where you could go and you can buy cannabis legally, anybody, but they've been under this quasi-legalization for a long time where people weren't really allowed to grow, and, grows were kind of like looked aside, but then they're not, and, you can't grow outdoors, and it's just a very restrictive and confusing policy over there that leads people to essentially grow really shitty cannabis, and then they'll sell that, and then they'll buy imported cannabis to smoke themselves, because they realize that the cannabis that they cultivate is just not going to be up to that level. They're not even trying over there anymore. So everyone's just flocking to Spain now. And Spain, if you guys haven't been, I think if you check the Spain tag on our Tumblr, or if you go to the Urban Grower video channel, or if you check out fucking Jorge fucking Cervantes, you'll see a lot of incredible grows and incredible situations in Spain. Bubble Man as well. He even went over to Spain for the Spanibus event. Spanibus. Check that tag. Spannabis. But that's an event that goes down in Spain, and people get together, and the business, it's basically like a cannabis cup. And then afterwards, everybody leaves, and they go to fucking the cannabis clubs in Spain, because Spain allows basically like a head shop that can sell weed, and also take memberships for people to come and smoke the weed in the fucking club. It is baller. If you could see some of these clubs and how high end they are, and how much money they invest in these places, like how it just looks like a fucking like a really nice fucking hotel or something, or like a really nice club, I guess, where they have like a pool table, and they have fucking like a DJ and shit, and like really nice fucking couches and lighting, and even the architecture they take into account, and interior design. It is polished over there. It doesn't look like those Amsterdam shops, those coffee shops that are just old historic buildings that are fucking not up to code, and are like slivers because the Amsterdamian policy was to charge more income tax or whatever taxes the wider your building was, so everybody built really skinny and up, so all the shops are really fucking skinny. These are really spacious, really comfortable environments in Spain. They were so comfortable that tourists were flocking to Spain, and the government actually had to kind of crack down on the clubs and tell them that they couldn't allow tourists to come in and just willy-nilly smoke. They have a quote-unquote membership system, but you know how that shit works. You email them ahead of time before you fly into Spain. You let them know that you want to smoke up a bit. You let them know that you're cool. They add you to the membership list. You come in, you can smoke in their club. But they kind of want to cut that shit out, because that's how fucking lax it is in Spain. So hopefully Uruguay, with their 500 registered clubs, who are only allowed to have 45 members, hopefully they can cultivate this kind of situation there. Maybe not as loosey-goosey as Spain and fucking like open, but we'll see. The clubs seem more like they're not going to be the clubs, quote unquote, in Spain where people come and they just buy weed and smoke and have fun. These clubs are just going to be like basically collectives in California, Colorado, and other states where people come together and they say, hey, I can't necessarily grow weed, but I want you guys to grow my weed for me, and I know you guys are really good at it, and like 5 or 10 people will handle the cultivation while the rest of the 30 members will just be like sponsors or whatever and help pay for the supplies and stuff and pay for the growing, and we'll see how that goes. Excuse me. Let's move along. There's a petition in Connecticut to add more medical conditions to their medical marijuana program. Just like I told you in Florida, how they're going to have that kind of open, debilitating condition shit. In Connecticut, there is a very strict list, and they are just trying really hard to expand it right now. Excuse me, for people who have arthritis, depression and anxiety, insomnia, and chronic pain. So this would open the medical marijuana program. Excuse me, need some water. It would open the program dramatically here. Basically because, you come in, you're like, I'm depressed. I have anxiety. That's like 90% of Americans. Or insomnia. A lot of people can't sleep. Or also another difficult thing to quote-unquote prove. You can't draw your blood and say that, you have insomnia. And chronic pain as well. Arthritis, of course, it's a very serious condition. I'm surprised that it wasn't on there before. But the other conditions definitely will open up the Connecticut medical marijuana program to a larger pool of patients. So definitely head over to safeaccessnow.org, and they have the petition for that. Or you can check our website, and we have a link to it in the news tag, or Connecticut tag. Moving along, how long have we been spending on the news? A bit too long. Been babbling a bit, haven't we? But we don't have too much news to cover here. Actually, I think we're done with the news. Oh wait, one more thing. One last thing. Okay. So I have to do this because I have to eat my words. I'm pretty sure that I've talked about it on the podcast before. The people from Pot TV, Cannabis Culture, you can go to pottv.com. The people who are part of like the Mark Emery group, the Vapor Lounge, the dispensary, the seed bank, all that shit, all the people in that circle of friends and stoners and shit, they talk about it all the time on their podcast, how they'll have cannabis events like Cannabis Day in Canada, which is on Canada Day. They'll actually go and they'll just openly sell and smoke weed right in front of an art museum. And the city actually, licenses the spot, and the police come and they redirect traffic and they help people, and it's nice. It's a vision of the future, and it shows just how possibly loose the policies are in Vancouver as well, or how loose they can be. But I brought it up because they as loose as they are, Canada doesn't have legal cannabis. Canada has a medical marijuana system where you have to have, a card from your doctor, and then you also have to have a card if you want to grow as well. It's like a separate license. And even those got taken away recently, and they had to fight to get those back. And those are just kind of like in legal limbo right now, waiting like to possibly get eradicated in the future. So it's not as flagrant as some of the videos make it seem sometimes on Pot TV. You also get the perspective where people get arrested, and they talk about it sometimes where someone will be selling weed or something, or smoking weed, and a cop will try to arrest them, and everybody just comes from the event or the whatever, like the surrounding area, and they just start to hug the person who's going to get arrested. And they form like a giant human shield of people, hugging the person and creating a barrier between the officer. And the officer apparently gives up, and the person is able to go free, and the people save him, and it's another victory for cannabis, I guess. But I hear that shit. I've said it before. I hear that shit, and it's psychotic. I'm like, I don't know what fucking bubble you guys live in over there in Vancouver, where everything's fucking, you put like the people shoot guns and flowers come out and fucking shit. But I live in a place, and many people live in a place, where if anybody starts getting in the way of an officer arresting somebody, they get fucking tased, they get beat, they get arrested as well. And then backup gets called if, you come in with, a gang of your homies. Things just don't, the police just don't give up. That just gives them even further incentive to get even more aggressive and more, just aggressive. Yeah, it's ridiculous. So I hear that, and I'm like, it's fucking impossible for that to happen anywhere other than the jolly golly land of fucking Canada, or even just fucking BC, because fucking it does not roll that way in Toronto a lot of the time. But, getting to the news article, from High Times, Florida residents form human shield to prevent police from arresting man for weed. That is the sound of me eating my own words. Goddamn. An army of Florida police officers was nearly impaled and used to decorate the lawn of a Delray Beach residence last weekend when a mob of angry neighbors stepped up and formed a human shield to prevent cops from arresting an individual accused of smoking marijuana. The rowdy scene took place last Saturday night when officers in an unmarked patrol car pulled up to a house and began harassing nearly 30 people attending a birthday party. According to a report from the Sun-Sentinel, officers got out of the car and began to shake down people standing outside because they claimed someone they had witnessed smoking a joint minutes earlier had run inside the house. Residents told the police that no one at the party was smoking pot and would not give officers permission to come inside the home. Yet the cops refused to vacate the premises and radioed for backup. See, so you see what I'm talking about? This is what I'm talking about here. But apparently, human power over fucking powered this. But there was a lot of shouting back and forth. Corey Provost, who posted a video of the incident on YouTube, told the Sentinel. The residents were asking the cops to leave the yard, and they didn't do so. And if you guys watch the video, the video doesn't really tell that much. It's like fucking somebody holding a camera, a cell phone camera, and holding it behind somebody's back, and jumping up and down, fucking, it is shaky as fuck. But you do get the audio, you do get kind of the scenario. But yeah, man, fucking, apparently when your homie is about to get popped by the cops, literally just call everybody and just be like, hug power, hug assemble, high hugs, ho. I don't know what chant you guys gotta fucking pull, but that shit has to go off real quick. Make sure everybody is on your homie, and make sure that you have the numbers to back it up. Make sure you have apparently 30 people, because if it's just you and 2 other dudes, the cops are gonna be like, great, thanks for bundling yourselves up. We're just gonna kind of wrap something around you guys and just shove you in the back of the car. But yeah. Apparently, when you smoke weed, hang out with a gang of 10 or more people, and the cops won't fuck with you, or something. I don't even know how this happens, dude. I report it, and it seems fake. And I know that it's a fluke, and this is the only time it's gonna happen, and if anybody else tries to pull that shit, they're gonna get fucking arrested. It's crazy. It is crazy. But we're done with the news. Thank you guys for getting through that with me. There's just the latest stuff we gotta touch on. We gotta get through it. You gotta stay up to date with the latest cannabis news. As much as it seems like repetitive, people getting busted for this, dispensaries getting raided for that, we do get these leaps and these big movements, or even we'll get like a little trickling of things that end up trickling more the next week and trickling a little more, and they end up pulling into something a little bit larger. So make sure to keep track of all the news by going to the news tag, and of course you can always follow along with it with your favorite RSS reader or RSS application by just adding /RSS to the end of any tag on our website. It'll give you like the latest 10 posts from that tag. Pretty nifty feature. So let's get into the Weed Porn Daily news a little bit. Well, I'm just gonna gloss over that a bit. Some housekeeping per se. If you guys have been following along with the website, some of this will maybe get a little repetitive. I've made a few like news posts announcing this. I've made a few videos discussing this. So if you're on the up and up, maybe you want to fucking like skip. But the strain database is almost up and running. I have a video preview that's going up either today or tomorrow, whenever I can get that shit rendered. It's like a 20-minute video. It's going to take a while. But the video is pretty sick. It shows, the whole, it shows like the archive page, which looks very similar to the old database, if you guys remember that. Basically like the colored squares for each strain and the name and buttons and all that jazz. And then I show the single strain page, which I'm ironing out and reordering and redesigning and things like that. But I also feature in the video pop-up video style, like VH1 fucking little facts that pop up in the video. So I'll be discussing, this is whatever, cannabinoid content, and then like fucking underneath, like you'll see like a little thing pop up, and it'll be like cannabinoids are, da 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 da, and I did try to do that as much as possible in the video to describe various things that were going on. Kind of to keep you guys a little more engaged, particularly because I understand these are like fucking 20-minute videos. Like, not everybody who just wants to sit through a fucking blog and hear my voice and just like look at like weed and a bong and things like that. You need a little more engagement. I feel you. That's going to come through the editing now. But the strain database is almost up and running. I've got that up. Like the structure, the framework ironed out. I talk about it in the video. How we are moving from a solitary PHP application where it was like something that I just coded in PHP and MySQL like from scratch to a integrated WordPress plugin that I also just I guess had to program from scratch, but it's integrating into the current website, like the shop and just WeedPornDaily.com. Like everything you see on WeedPornDaily.com, like that structure is WordPress, and I want to insert the strain database into that. And what I'm hoping to do too is something that will hopefully be a little more revolutionary, radical than any other strain database has done. I'm going to take the plugin and actually make it available open source. So if you guys want to create your own strain database, if you guys want to start your own website and like start a database of like your own favorite strains, or maybe start your own review website and you need a strain database to support that, and you want to like have the strains listed and whatever, or maybe you're like a fucking testing lab and you want to have a architecture for displaying all the strains and showing like, we tested 10 strains today, we're going to upload the new 10 strains and the THC content and all this and whatever. You guys will be able to do that a lot easier with this plugin. You just install WordPress, you install this plugin, and you can immediately just start inserting strains, THC content, CBD content, strain genetics, strain effects, strain flavors, and various other aspects into the website. So I'm hoping to, not only create the biggest and best strain database out there, but I want, to make it open source. What the fuck? You guys There's no reason that this information needs to be kept behind some fucking like locked doors and shit. Like this is for you guys. You know, this is for you guys to play with. This is for you guys to experiment with. I want to see how you guys can improve the community with this tool asset. So that's going to be coming out as like an open source thing, as well as the dispensary finder. Hopefully that'll lead to maybe some more, I don't know, same thing I said, like fucking head shop aggregation sites and shit like that. Maybe a community center wants to aggregate all the dispensaries that are in that community. Something, I don't know, whatever. All open source. Dispensary finder coming after the strain database. That's going to take some time though, because the strain database, it's already taken a bit of time. Like I say it's almost done, and then I'm like, oh yeah, let me add this feature. Oh yeah, let me add this feature. And then it extends the upstart time, because I don't necessarily want to insert strains until I'm completely done ironing out the infrastructure. And the infrastructure just keeps getting a little bigger and a little more polished every day as I think about it more and things like that. But check it out soon. We're going to be announcing that. Maybe even hiring people to fill it up. We'll see. I'm trying to work out how I want to handle that, because I have to insert over 1,000 strains into the database with descriptions, THC content, genetics, etc. It's a lot of data to be inserting and a lot of time that I don't have. So I'm hoping to maybe get some stoners to do that. And it's an excellent place for someone who knows genetics, or maybe wants to learn genetics and expose themselves to the most diverse, dank library of strains out there. Really expand your view of cannabis from like a couple of kushes and hazes to the complete family tree. But yeah, I mentioned before, more videos are going to be rendering. I've got the pop-up video style strain database preview coming to the YouTube channel, as well as a joint session with Mrs. WeedPornDaily, just like a quick wake and bake session, just us smoking and music laid underneath and clips and shit, and just some weed porn. You know how it is. I mentioned in the what is it, the preview part of the podcast, the intro, the sales portion, the ads, that we have new stickers for the head shop for every order. They look fucking sick. The goofy stickers are selling well too. Please check those out. WeedPornDaily.com/shop. I fixed a small site hacking recently. That was interesting. We've had it before where somebody hacks the site and they install like a little script into the site to send spam emails and just like do illegal shit and use my server for it. And I had to track that shit down, which was interesting. That was pretty cool. I felt like a server administrator for once, cracking open terminal and fucking like prompting the server and shit through that console and all that jazz. But the site should be hack-free now, completely clean. This house is clean. And that I mentioned that specifically because people who have been ordering from the shop have apparently not been getting our emails. And when I looked into that a little further, I noticed that when I would send people emails, I'd get an email back from the mail server giving me like an error saying that my email was blacklisted. And I was like, what the fuck? My email's blacklisted? Like, what? This obviously is because my name has weed and porn in it. You know, clearly they're discriminating against me because I'm a weed website. And after researching it a bit more, that is the case in some cases with spam filters and stuff. But this particularly was actually, apparently like some email organization place or whatever. They scan like all the websites out there and they make a list of websites that have hacks on them or like are submitting spam and things like that. And if your website is on that list, a lot of major email providers won't send you or won't take your emails or send you emails or whatever. So that was interesting. I had to take myself off that list for sure. So hopefully you guys will be getting more of the emails soon, but we still will be being sent to the spam box. It's kind of inevitable with a name like WeedPornDaily. But hopefully in the future, I'm looking to buy like a domain, a domain for like emails and kind of like a safe domain that's like WPD.com or WPD.co or something, and it's a little more covert for things like that. We'll see. It's just something to invest in or research a bit when I have money and time. But the Facebook page got a little facelift recently with a couple new tabs. If you guys want to check that out, I don't know if you guys are on Facebook. Apparently people are on Facebook. That's why I had to update it. I was like, holy shit, people fucking use this? This is crazy. Like, I mean, I know that people are on Facebook, you know, it's cool, but just the fact that people would use Facebook for weed stuff, you know, like you're tying like a public profile to weed content. You know, you gotta have a little more balls to do that than necessarily like Twitter or Tumblr. So I've been working on the Facebook page a little bit, and we're gonna have a marijuana country review coming soon. If you guys have, I don't think I reported on it, maybe. But there's a new marijuana documentary coming out by MSNBC, NBC, FNBC, one of those fucking conglomerates. But it's called Marijuana Country, the something boom, the money boom or something. And I'm gonna tackle that and see how it compares to the recent pot barons. And of course, rake it of all the gifts I can possibly extract. So that's about it for the site. Just me working on that fucking strain database, keeping the head shop fucking as steady as possible, you know, keeping it stocked, keeping the orders flowing out, making sure that all the orders are getting to the people, making sure that all the customers are satisfied. God damn. That's kind of hard. I've had to alter a lot of fucking like methods and shit to ensure that customers are completely and utterly satisfied. Like we used to ship our glass screens in little weed dime bags and just kind of throw that inside of the envelope and ship it to people. And apparently the fucking post office was like sitting on top of it and throwing packages on top of it and shit, and letting the glass screens get crushed. So I'm actually wrapping the glass screens now in fucking bubble wrap. So you're going to get like a little notch of bubble wrap that you have to tear open, and it's going to have a dime bag inside. It's pretty sick. Yeah, just fucking keeping shit moving, dude. It's fucking crazy. I had to explain to this one guy, like people were expecting orders to be shipped to them in like 2 days. Like literally like fucking Amazon Prime style. Like I placed my order and it should be shipped out the same day, and it should be getting to me in 2 days. It should not, like, I should get priority mail, like, for free. So I had to sit down and explain to a few people who actually left me negative reviews for taking fucking, like, 5 days to deliver their package. I was like, really, dude? It took me 5 days. Like, that is fucking lightning fast in the realm of how much you paid for, like, first class 3 to 5 day shipping, as well as, like, the time it took me to package it, like, everything, you know, like, normally it takes, like, 5 to 7 days, like, you got lucky, and he was like, nah, bro, I should have taken, like, 2 to 3 days, and I had to sit down and explain, like, bro, this is not fucking Amazon, you know, this is one dude in, like, running everything himself, from promotions to inventory to shipping to accounting. To every single aspect of the company is being handled by me. And, you know, maybe one day I can't fucking ship because, you know, you ordered a little too late in the day and I'm fucking sleeping. What the fuck, you know? Like, I don't know. So I had to kind of correct some really unreasonable expectations. But at the same time, you know, I don't get too upset about it because it just goes to show that people look at the website and they look at my company and they think that, like, they have a level of, like, professional standard, you know, that they expect. And I meet most of it until the part where they start, like, requiring me to have infrastructure that, like, big money companies have. And then I'm like, whoa, whoa, whoa. I can give you good design, I can give you good service, I can give you everything except for, like, just giving you free shit, like, all the time, or, like, fucking having 24-hour customer service in fucking India, like, crazy shit like that. That's crazy. Yeah, so, trying to keep everybody happy, trying to keep this shit afloat. It's nice. The just seeing the shop, like, expand from just selling fucking a couple weed socks and a couple hemp wicks to just how many stickers we've been able to stock in different prints and stuff. It's really nice getting to see how big the shop has gotten. I really appreciate it. But that's enough of sucking my own dick. My neck hurts. Fucking bending backwards that much. But I wanted to discuss a few topics with you guys. That's really why I wanted to record this podcast. Really why it's going to be a little extra long. Because I've been just really exposing myself to a lot of cannabis discussions and cannabis content and trying to stimulate ideas within myself that could plant seeds within you guys through this podcast and possibly stimulate some more conversations and things like that. Really, I'm just gonna go through this note sheet here. It's just like thoughts. I'll try to expound upon them as much as I can. Some of them are really expounded upon, so I won't need to. But this is all just gonna be thoughts about the current state of cannabis and the state of the business, the industry, legalization, just the medicinal aspects, just various facets of the blossoming Buddha industry, Buddha business. Big corporations are stepping into cannabis and taking control of all our and Mother Nature's hard work. It's something that I discussed in the strain database preview video. I talk about Leafly a little bit and how Leafly, the CEO of the company that owns Leafly, is a complete douchebag. Like a complete corporate cunt. Like every single fear that stoners have had over the years, where they've had this paranoia developed through prohibition that when we finally legalize, the big corporations are going to come in and just seize all the cannabis and grow it really shitty and sell it to us by the fucking, like, by the dime, and it's not going to be worth it, and all the, growers that grow good weed aren't going to be able to grow it, and this and that, and people won't be able to start wholesome businesses. It's just going to be all big money, Marlboro, whatever. We've been waiting for the Marlboro of marijuana. People have been making photo edits of it for years now, and it's finally on the horizon. So I talk about it in the video a little bit, and I've talked about it in the past, and Russ Belville has talked about it. Many people are opening their eyes to this, and I'm finally glad that people are fucking seeing this guy for the scoundrel that he is, and seeing the game that he's playing and the greater picture that's at play. So the Leafly owner, CEO dude, his name is Brendan Kennedy. Brendan Kennedy is an ex-DEA guy. Number one, he's ex-DEA, and he started investing his money into Leafly. He started investing his money into medical cannabis grows in Canada, the same ones that we reported on earlier, having to restrict their websites and stuff. He's one of the growers that supplies those people with the official country-sanctioned cannabis. So he's had millions and millions and millions of dollars to develop grows in Canada because they've had the most restrictive policies on making grows up to, like, recently. It was pretty crazy. Like, if you watch the Bubble Man video on... He has a video in his archive at some point where he goes to a grow in, like, Toronto or something, and it's a legal Canadian grow, like the Leafly dudes. And it's basically like a fucking bank vault. Like, they walk in and it's literally like fucking 20 inches, 22 feet of galvanized steel or whatever the fuck it is, and the thing that you spin, and it looks like a fucking like submarine wheel, and it locks the fucking thing in place, like, and they have cameras everywhere. Like, they've invested millions and millions and millions of dollars on making the facility up to code. Like, they had to be underground and make sure that the walls were a certain thickness so that the smell of cannabis growth wouldn't get through, and all this crazy shit. So he has had that much money to like sprinkle into that project. And that's just one of the projects that he's been working on. You know, he's been working on Leafly, he's been working on that, and now he's also trying to develop the Marley brand. So he's taken the Bob Marley people, Bob Marley the man, he's long dead, but his family has been for a long time trying to reclaim the Bob Marley image, the Bob Marley name. You know, everybody and their fucking grandpa and their fucking like shady uncle trying to make a dime has been printing Rasta-colored Bob Marley prints and like Bob Marley pictures and shit like that. Like, people have been using Bob Marley's image illegally for decades. It is so sickening. It's really terrible how people just appropriate it like that, and it's not even like, it's not even fan art. It's not even like anything. It's literally just people milking his image for money. It is really sad. So the family themselves have been struggling hard to counteract this, and they've been trying to buy all the photos of Bob Marley and all the rights and things like that to his name, and trying to just reclaim the Bob Marley image and name and all that. And they've been able to do a pretty good job of it. They've acquired many of the rights, many of the photo reels, many of this, that, whatever. And now the Leafly guy came to them and he's like, hey, I want to take your name, the Bob Marley name, and I want to use it for cannabis. Like, after all that hard work you did trying to like write it and trying to make Bob Marley the man, not Bob Marley like Bob Marley cannabis, Bob Marley Rasta, Bob Marley, like, Bob Marley was a man. Bob Marley was a lot more than like a few things that he fucking like did. You know, like he had like a whole life. He had his music, man. Like, there was just so much to that nigga. So fucking for them to just like take his name and just be like, okay, cannabis, you know, and then not only just say okay, cannabis, like they want to make it literally. He's been quoted as saying he wants to make the Marley brand the Marlboro of marijuana. Like, it's ridiculous. It's fucking atrocious. It's sickening. It's a number of things. So and he's also the Brendan Kennedy guy, the CEO of Leafly, whatever. He's come out and said that he's tired of the industry. So, like, but you could read the articles. He's basically come out and said that a lot of the cannabis companies presently and before and the ones that are developing are all developing themselves on really trite and tropish imagery of like cannabis leaves and green and things like that, and he doesn't want his company founded on that, and he also doesn't want his company founded on old stoner culture and things like that. Like, he's talking all this shit and talking all this trash about the fucking cannabis industry and how people are fucking like just as fucking stoners or whatever, like buying into their own stonery shit, and he's trying to make shit more mainstream and more buyable. And then he goes and he attaches his brand with the biggest fucking like quote unquote stoner in like the culture, one of the biggest stoners, and then he also slaps some pot leaves next to the guy's name. Like, I mean, they don't necessarily, maybe they don't look like pot leaves to some people, but they're fucking pot leaves. They're 7-leaved leaves. You can make them look as like fucking like wrinkly as possible, but they're cannabis leaves. So he's just like a fucking two-faced, money-hungry scoundrel. He's tried to appropriate cannabis culture. I've said it on multiple occasions. He actually emailed us personally. It wasn't even like he had a secretary do it. He didn't have the fucking Leafly people do it. He contacted me, and he was like, hey, I want you to take down the strain database because you put purple strains as indica, and you put sativa strains as red, and hybrid strains as green. And those colors are copyrighted by Leafly, and you're not allowed to ever label something as purple if it's an indica. Like fucking get the fuck out of here, dude. Like, you're gonna go and take the decades of like fucking hearsay that have been developed by fucking people and their drug dealers and growers and shit who have been growing like the fucking Kool-Aid, perps, fucking grape weed and selling it as indica and getting that like instilled in the fucking people's minds that perps is indica. Like that propaganda has been going on for a very long time by drug dealers, growers, and just anybody trying to make a dime off of some fucking low-yielding purple strains. But he wants to take that and claim it for himself because his website apparently did it first. You know, his website that started in like 2000 whatever, you know, copyrighted it even though it already existed, you know, prior. It's so ridiculous. So I told that guy to go fuck himself, that I was not going to change the colors at all, and that he can come at me with the legal team if he wanted to, because I'll fucking go to court and I'll fight that to the fucking nail. Like, I don't give a shit, dude. Like, he does not own any, he does not own the trademark to that. Literally, there's no piece of paper that says that. He was literally just trying to bully me into taking down my hard work. So, for that, like, fuck that guy. Like, personally, just fuck that guy. But then, like, that happened, like, prior to everything. That happened prior to the Marley brand. That happened prior to even the Canadian cannabis grows. Like, this was fucking, like, really early into the Leafly development. So, like, seeing how he's, like, slowly villainized himself more and more over time, it's just not surprising at all. And he's just yet another example of big money coming into cannabis. You know, we've discussed it with the pot barons, how, you know, you just need this incredible amount of upstart money in cash. You can't even have, like, credit that you've developed over the years. You have to have cash money, millions of dollars, in order to just start these businesses in the legal, medical, and recreational cannabis industries. You know, you want to start a fucking legal grow, you want to start your own legal edible industry, then you better have like a fucking $1 million plus sitting around to not only fucking pay for the crazy licensing fees that you'd never see back if you fucking don't, get your license approved, but you also have to pay for the rent of the building, and you don't get that rent back if you don't get approved, and you have to like keep the lease as long as you signed it for. Like, there are just so many like fucking things that require so much money, and then the banks won't deal with the cannabis people. You know, you've got these people trying to start these industries, and they have to start it with like the cash money that they've developed, either themselves through their small business that's also hasn't been able to work through banks, so they just happen to have a large pool of cash money, or they just have a lot of cash money, period, and they can just pull it out like that out of the fucking ether and apply it to things. So it's fucking atrocious. It's fucking disgusting how a lot of the cannabis industry has been left to the people with the money. You know, you just can't be a mom and pop with a good idea and go to like a bank with a business plan and be like, hey, you know, we want you guys to invest in us, or even go to an investor and say, hey, you know, we want you to help us start a company. You know, a lot of investors aren't going to be dealing with cannabis because it's just too risky of a business right now. It's federally illegal. There are a lot of caveats to that. It's ridiculous. So it hopefully, as the banks open up and things become more legal, we'll see big corporation slowly losing its grip on the industry as more, you know, smaller businesses creep up and flood the market and kind of cut through that monopoly that these people have been able to create with their massive amounts of money. I don't know if you guys have been on Instagram in the past couple months, but there's been this fucking huge ass controversy regarding like Instagram deleting weed accounts. YouTube did it for a long time. They're still doing it. They suspended accounts, they deleted accounts, and stoners are just like really wary of whether or not YouTube allows cannabis use. But now, fucking Instagram as well, they just started deleting really huge 20K plus follower cannabis-based Instagram accounts. and people were pissed. They would start like another account and be like, oh man, I lost like all this hard work, all my images, all my followers, like this big follower base that I like, this community that I cultivated over time. I lost all of it. And people were struggling to network with each other and be like, hey man, everybody go follow this guy because he got deleted, and try to get his numbers back up and things like that. Really big people like fucking the Cookies dude, the fucking Burner, Dr. Darby, fucking everybody was getting deleted. Core Reefer got deleted. A lot of people, big names in the cannabis community. So well, first off, everybody was freaking out over that, and fucking, of course, somebody had to monetize over it. I'm calling you out, bro. Fucking Burner came out and he grouped with marijuana.com, and he was like, yeah, man, we're gonna make an Instagram alternative so you guys can come over and you guys can, like, use this instead of Instagram. And you guys don't have to worry about being discriminated against over there, whatever. Trying to really sell this quote unquote brand new social network for stoners. So much fucking sell, so much fucking marketing bullshit. Like, please. And what happened? They released like a new section of marijuana.com that was essentially just like a fucking little Facebook-esque clone, and that's it. Like, you can't, like, maybe you can use it through the mobile browser, but there's no app. It is not an Instagram killer. It's not an Instagram alternative. It's just like another website to go to post your shit to, and if you want to inconvenience yourself like that, you can. It was just so, yeah. So they announced that, and how big of a deal that was, and how that was supposed to change the game. And I was like, really, bro? Have you heard of Mass Roots? That shit's been around for like a year now, and it is literally an Instagram alternative. I mean, you can't get it for the iPhone. I guess it's Android only, but it's basically like a fucking Instagram app where you post weed pictures, and it works exactly like Instagram, but it's for weed. And they can't get it through the iPhone App Store because it's for fucking weed only. It's like. So that, people were really trying to capitalize on the whole situation and trying to really pull people from Instagram over to the website and whatever shitty method they could. Whatever, man. Do what you gotta do to get your followers. But I've been noticing personally, through my own, like, Instagramming, that when you post with particular tags, that there are people who actually spam you with the same comment. If I tag something cannabis, literally just hashtag cannabis, I will get, inevitably, within the first, like, 5 minutes, too, it's pretty crazy, a comment that says, nice, exclamation point, and maybe an emoji. Sometimes not. And I've noticed this with a lot of other accounts. Maybe it's not necessarily, like, great photo. I'm assuming, and I'm pretty sure it's, like, whatever text you input into the program, and it's like a program that people use to attach to their Instagram app or handle or whatever, and it uses your account information to comment across a whole tag, just flood it with your comments, and that'll get you followers and attention and people looking at you. I saw it like months and months ago with this one particular hemp wick like sales company, that every time I tagged something hemp wick, they would comment on it, and they would put like the same fucking message, and it almost seemed automated. I'm sure though theirs isn't automated though, because there is like a delay with theirs sometimes. But they would just comment with the same thing, like copy paste, and just try to get their name out there on the tag. Like, that's just them spamming in order to try and get followers. So I looked at the situation and I was like, this is probably exactly what Instagram is trying to curtail. Instagram isn't necessarily trying to delete weed-based accounts, because a lot of the people who got deleted, they were able to actually contact Instagram and get their accounts reactivated with all the photos, all the followers, everything there. They just had to wait a little bit and deal with the customer service. So clearly it wasn't about the cannabis use. So there was something else at play here that was prompting Instagram to go on this mass banning. And what I'm assuming is that a lot of these larger Instagrams comment probably way more than I do. Like I don't comment that much. Like once or twice. I don't got that much time for it. Like I don't live on Instagram. I live on Tumblr. I have the followers there. That's my community. But some people have their community on Instagram and they just sit there all day and just comment, send people DMs, like fucking talk back and forth. They make there's like a whole like game to Instagram where people will be like, oh, tag your post this, and if I like it, I'll repost it on my account. And their whole page is like not even their photos, it's just like reposts of people using their tag, and it's kind of like a cultivation of their brand or their lifestyle company or whatever. Like it's just that. And I'm assuming that kind of behavior and that kind of like promotion and probably that kind of like level of getting out there and commenting and interaction and things like that probably flagged them for that kind of maybe spamming. And maybe even someone, since there's such a big Instagram, they comment on something and, one of like the fucking 50,000 followers they have flags them as spam and puts them on the same list as these various other legitimate spammers that were just utilizing the tags to try to garner some sort of self-promotion. So I'm thinking that that's probably what the situation is. And it's something that they're combating currently. It's like something that I see with a lot of websites. Tumblr deals with it all the time, where, spammers will just find like a fucking new way to get in. I remember there was a period of time on Tumblr where you would check a certain tag, like even fucking cannabis, or like just like a really generic tag, and it would just be flooded with like spam accounts and spam posts of people posting like products and shit. Like, oh, go buy this like iPod or something, and you would be on the fucking like weed tag, and you'd be like, what the fuck? And you click the iPod, and it takes you to like a fucking spam site that isn't even for sale and whatever. And it was just like, and it took Tumblr a long time to actually figure out how they were creating all these different spam accounts and input like a certain thing into their system that filtered this properly. And I'm sure, innocent people get caught in that process. It's the battle against spam. It's pretty fucking crazy. So I don't necessarily think that Instagram is against weed. It's just one of those things. Or maybe their policies are shifting towards allowing weed more. But, I think it's more of a spam thing, you guys. Just saying. My 2 cents. I'm gonna close out on this because it's long. And I'm just gonna read it because it's just crazy. Terrence McKenna called it in 1993. Legalization won't move forward without enticing enterprise with vast amounts of money to be made. It's been revived recently by the medical discussion and its benefits for diseases and suffering individuals. However, this is simply reinforcement for the argument. Medicinal arguments only get you as far as CBD laws in many cases. Potheads from the past knew how harmless the drug was compared to many other often legal substances. It seems now that science plays a part in legal backing of not only legalization laws but other subsidiary legislation regarding topics such as driving stone, giving cannabis to children, and organ transplants. But the powerhouse at the end of the day, though? Money. How much pure profit can you squeeze out of this brand new market through taxation, fees, and ticketing? You may not be able to book that cannabis-carrying citizen anymore, but you may fine them for publicly consuming it, tax them for the purchase, as well as the growers, processors, dispensary owners, and accrue licensing fees from any shop or owner or grower they may have purchased from. That carrot isn't enough, it seems, though. Yet. Banks are just now seeing the breaks in their Berlin-branded walls, and the federal government hasn't played any significant part in the matter, sitting from afar and shouting contradictory statements from their impenetrable and unquestionable places of political power. It's just sad to see that the endless paranoia that was perpetuated by cannabis consumers for ages is being forced to fruition. Big companies have to get into legal cannabis, as we see in pot barons, as the licensing, leasing, and other ancillary fees are too incredible for any business that hasn't accrued a large amount of raw capital, since banks won't give loans or even take deposits from cannabis companies. The mom-and-pop shops get stomped out by the starbuds of the industry due to their vast stash of cash. It's something I see even in my own industry, where we've had to blacklist a fair number of companies that have been banned or harassed us for being a cannabis-centric company. Entities like Google and all its branches from YouTube to Google Ads, PayPal, Stripe, and various other payment processors, MailChimp, and any other major email service provider from Hotmail to Live to iCloud, Instagram, and many more companies that are known for discriminating against cannabis-based businesses, either it being in the name, products being sold on the site, ranging from things as harmless as art, rolling papers, glass, or even simply pictures or videos containing cannabis. It limits the outreach of cannabis-based businesses when they can't tap into social networks like YouTube or Instagram. They can't sell people, not a pot, but legal products due to payment processors, credit cards, and banks refusing to work with them due to federal drug laws. It silences innocent stoners, not necessarily companies. It affects every toker who wants to take part in an online or offline cannabis community. So I'll leave you guys with that. I don't want you to think that, we don't want legalization to move forward. But as always, we should keep cautious eyes. And as always, try to keep legalization as open as possible to some extent. We should be having these banks work with us. We should have the federal government working with us. We should have international cannabis trade. We need to keep pushing because there's no reason that cannabis can't be like coffee or any other common commodity. And there's no reason that cannabis has to be charged like fucking $80 a gram for some oil. You should be able to get that oil for like a fucking like 80th of that price, and you should be able to get the flowers for like cents on a gram. Or even maybe the ounce. So, hope you guys are enjoying life. Please do. Smoke it up. Enjoy it. You only have so long to live, you guys. Don't get caught up in too much work. Don't forget about the weed. And, hope you guys, stay regular. Oh, wait, before we do that. I was like, I know I'm missing something. Of course, make sure to follow us on WeedPornDaily.com. Make sure to follow all of our, social networking accounts. Please ignore the screaming dog in the back. She's just mistrained. And make sure to go to 420radio.org and check us out on there. We go live every, I think, Tuesday or something. You can check the schedule. But we're on there with a bunch of other big names like Jorge Cervantes, Russ Belville, fucking like... Just some really big names in the industry, as well as established purveyors of information that now have either their own audio or video podcast that you can find on 420radio.org. And make sure to like us, subscribe, comment, leave reviews on iTunes, anything you can to try to promote this podcast and get it out there, get it to more people, and just get us up on the iTunes list, get us noticed. It would be highly appreciated. And we also appreciate endlessly all the support that we receive through the head shop. Head over to WeedPornDaily.com/shop, use the coupon code podcast, and get 10% off your entire purchase. Be the second guy to use it. And as always, I love you guys. You know this. And hope you guys are staying regular.